What's going on, everybody? Charlie and Glenn here. We are sitting here doing a little tasting of a new product that Starlight Distillery has put out. As my little model, my little bit model is showing you here. Tell them what it's called, Charlie.
This is Starlight Distillery, Carl T's Bloody Butcher recipe, which they have appropriately titled Blood Moon Batch.
Blood Moon.
Right in time for fall.
Yes, so what is so special about this release, Charlie? You were up at the distillery the other day. You actually spoke with the master distiller, Mr. Christian Huber.
Yeah.
And he had a few interesting things to tell you about it.
He did. So Bloody Butcher refers to the type of corn that it is. And before you ask, yes, there are different type of corn. Bloody Butcher gets its name because it is a heirloom corn, dates back to the 1840s. As it grows, it's white, like a normal corn, and then as it matures, it gets tiny little red specks in it. And at its maturation point, it turns completely red, but kind of in between there, it's a white corn covered with little red spots, like a butcher's apron. Hence the name, Bloody Butcher corn.
And now you know everything you ever wanted to know about Bloody Butcher corn. Probably a little bit more than you ever wanted to know about Bloody Butcher corn. But let's start out with the bottle. I mean, it's beautiful packaging.
It is. It is. Starlight does a great job on all their packaging. So
it's got a nice, I don't know if you can see this, but a nice kind of little copper color to it, which actually I think matches the color of the whiskey inside. Mm-hmm. It is bottled at 106 proof, which for me, that's one of my kind of sweet spots between 100 proof and 110 proof. Not that I don't drink anything higher or anything lower, but I feel like that's a really good spot to be in there.
Yeah.
The age, this is what their bourbon is usually aged around 4 years.
Yeah, so the products on market now are usually between 4 and 5 years old. This is age stated at 4.5 years old. So it is a batched whiskey, or batched bourbon. So this is the youngest in there by law is 4.5 years old. So there may be some older stuff in there too. But for me, my sweet spot is typically, in terms of age, is between 4 and 6 years old. I actually like a little younger, more fruit forward, less oaky typically is what I like. So excited to try this one again.
And I've always thought Starlight kind of drinks a little older than what it is, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It doesn't. A lot of their selections, to me, it doesn't taste like a young bourbon the way some of these other bourbons do, that you can kind of tell immediately when you taste it.
I would totally agree with you. I think Starlight, what they have now, gives me and a lot of Starlight fans a lot of hope for the future, because their 4 and 5 year old stuff punches way outside of its weight class. And they've got a tremendous variety. They do some mad scientist things up there, in terms of they are not committed to any one mash bill, any one product. They have their signature bottles, and those have a uniform flavor, but those guys use different mash bills, different barrel manufacturers, different char levels. They are not afraid to throw something in a finishing barrel, as you can kind of see behind my bar. There is no stone left unturned for the pursuit of interesting bourbon out of Starlight.
Yes, they do a fantastic job with their barrel finishes. So, all right, so when you were up there the other day talking to Christian, he gave you a little sample, correct?
I did. I did get to try before I buy. And it is, so my initial thought, well, I'll say what I thought. Christian did tell me something interesting, which I love bottles like this. A little nuance is Christian said that how this bottle tastes after you open it will change in about 2 weeks. It really opens up. You're really going to get a more in-depth flavor, and really starts to shine after about 2 weeks. So this was his recommendation. Pop the bottle, pour a couple pours out of it, cork it, let it sit for 2 weeks, and then revisit. So
that's what we're going to do.
We're
going to pop the bottle tonight. We're going to try it, give you our thoughts on it, and then we're going to revisit it here in a couple weeks. And through the magic of editing, you won't have to wait 2 weeks to see. But we'll take a taste of it again and see.
We don't have to stay here for 2 weeks, though, right? We're gonna do our normal
Oh, we're not.
Well, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
We'll edit that out.
I mean, I think Well, we've got about
A
a
day
week's worth of bourbon to drink back here, so I don't know. We'll see. All right, Charlie, would you like to do the honors?
I will.
and
I will
open
absolutely.
the top here.
I'll absolutely take the high pressure job of opening a bottle of bourbon.
So what really happened before we started recording here is we kind of got into an argument about who was going to open their bottle. You see who lost, hence the bandage on the eye, and so Charlie's opening his bottle.
Glenn's bigger and stronger than me. What can I say? So.
Make it pop.
Oh,
Put it
that
this
was.
way.
I think that was me more so than the bottle. So, really awesome, kind of amber color on this one. Dribbled a little bit there.
Dribbled.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm not that steady-handed. I've been drinking, so a little better on that one. Very limited release.
Thanks, sir.
Christian told me, but I forgot because I was very excited to get my bottles. Less than 400 bottles. I think he told me 330, 360. So this is about as limited release as you're going to find. So very excited for this one. So.
It has legs.
It does. It does have some very nice legs on there.
Beautiful color. I'm gonna let it
Yeah.
sit here for a second.
Really nice nose on that. You get that sweet corn for sure, but it's also more floral than I thought that it would be, or that I remember. And then as it kind of evaporates off, you're left with kind of that corn, that really sweet corn kind of smell to it.
Yeah, it's
So,
definite corn forward, not obnoxiously so.
Yeah.
More of almost a caramel corn.
Yeah, so I will say this before I drink this. I am a high rye mash bill kind of guy. I do not like very corn forward things typically.
Charlie don't like corn.
I don't like corn. That corn kid on the internet's wearing me out. But there are exceptions. So I did taste this one at the distillery, but I'm excited to try it on camera. So
Cheers.
cheers. You have to love the awkward silence in any bourbon tasting video of, okay, they've put the bourbon in their mouth.
That's actually, and I'm not one of these technical fancy guys. I'm not going to tell you that it tastes like coriander or
I don't even know.
old leather or anything like
I
that.
don't know
But
what coriander is.
honestly, it was pretty strong up front, but not overpoweringly so, I think. But enough to let you know it's there.
Yeah.
And surprisingly sweet,
Yeah.
I think.
So, and I'm totally stealing this from Christian Huber, who kind of put this in my head, but I agree with him wholeheartedly. This has kind of, he said, what it reminds him of is some older Jim Beam. So that 1980s, 70s, 80s Jim Beam, kind of that Jim Beam funk, the dusty funk, if you've ever had some of those dusties. I like that a lot, and I like this a lot. So to kind of echo Glenn's statement, I feel like there's kind of some awesome bourbon, a little bit of oak. I know you said the leather. I get a little leather, but then there's a nice sweet finish, and it lingers for a lot longer. For me, that finish is really long on a 4.5-year-old bottle of bourbon.
The finish sits on the back of your tongue and on the sides. It's really good. It's got some heat to it, but it's not going to kick your ass.
Yeah, don't say ass on camera. There could be kids watching.
It's not going to kick you.
So I don't feel like it even drinks like 106 proof. Like to me, I've had 86 proof and 90 proof that is much more harsh than this. So to me, it's very smooth and easy drinking, but I typically go toward more 115 and up proof. So this is why bourbon is great, because it doesn't matter. It matters what you think. So everybody gets a different experience. This would be a bottle that would get me into trouble because it's very easy drinking for me.
It is. It is a very easy drinker.
Yeah, I
I
think
bloody concur.
that was so bad. We're gonna edit that out because I don't know what that was. It was an
It's
Australian.
Bloody Butcher.
It was an Australian and an Irish guy for
It's
some reason.
redneck /
Something.
Australian, Irish,
Yeah. So
English.
there are a lot of distilleries that do a Bloody Butcher style of corn. So this is nothing new to the bourbon market, but it is Starlight's offering. And the cool thing about Starlight is this is farm to bottle, which a lot of people say, but Starlight grew all this Bloody Butcher on their farm. So to me, why I love Starlight, and I don't know if you can see behind me, I am a Starlight fanboy. I'm a huge supporter of theirs because they put out some really cool, really awesome limited releases, and they are here for experimentation. And if it tastes good, let's try it. So Glenn is ice cubing it. Boom, we have been cubed. So
See how that works there.
yeah. So
So, as Charlie was mentioning, there are some other Bloody Butcher products. The only one I've ever had, and I'm not even going to mention the distillery, another semi-local distillery, notoriously put out a Bloody Butcher product that I was very excited to try, and
it wasn't as good as this one.
I would say not. I would say not.
To echo that, and this is all unscripted, by the way, so he didn't set me up for this. When Starlight first came to market, and you may be watching this and thinking, Starlight, I had that 3 years ago and it was terrible. I would agree with you, because when Starlight first came out and they were putting their 2-year-old bourbon in a bottle, they didn't source anything. They didn't go to MGP, they didn't go to Heaven Hill or Buffalo Trace and say, hey, give us some bourbon we can throw a Starlight label on and get out in the market. They put their own stuff out there, and I did not enjoy it. I thought it was extremely young, extremely harsh, and it was downright undrinkable. But to Glenn's point is, just because something is the way now doesn't mean that they're not going to hit their stride. So if you haven't stopped by Starlight Distillery, if you're local to Southern Indiana or Kentuckiana, or they have really expanded out. So even if you're watching this halfway across the country, check your local liquor store. They are putting a lot of product out in the market. It is really a hidden gem, and I guarantee you they have a bottle for any flavor, taste, profile, proof, finish, whatever. There's a ton of great stuff out there. So
I definitely confer. I had the same concur. See, I'm already
2 drinks, and we're stuttering.
So I had the same experience when I first tried Starlight when they put their first product out. I did not like it. I was not a fan. So when people like Charlie urged me to revisit, I was a little bit skeptical, but I'll be honest, I've been super, super impressed with what they've been able to do. I don't know if there's a better craft distiller in the country. So
I confer.
he confers.
So yeah.
And by the way, it tastes good with ice too.
Well, that's good. See, he drinks it with an ice cube, and that's okay. So one of the things with bourbon is drink it how you want it. If you want to put a splash of ginger ale or Coke, or 200 ice cubes and some water or whatever, it doesn't matter. So drink it how you want it and how you think it tastes good. So I think that's another thing, and not to just continue to make this a Starlight PSA. And I kind of mentioned it. My company did a barrel pick at Starlight, and you walk away from there amazed at the risks and exploration that they will go through. So most distilleries will do 1 mash bill, maybe 2. They use 1 barrel manufacturer, 1 char level, try to get a uniform flavor, and then maybe branch off from that, do a single barrel, this, that, and the other. Starlight will use many different mash bills. I don't even know how many. They can probably tell you. They use products that they grow on their own farm, and then I believe they have 4 different barrel manufacturers and different char levels in each of those barrels. So if you like a heavy char and a high rye mash bill, they probably have a product for you. If you're the opposite, you like a lower char and a corn forward, they've got something there. So if you haven't had the opportunity to go. It's great. They're very welcoming. It's a great place to go and just take the family, right?
Hang out for the day, pick some pumpkins, hang out in the farmer's market, feed the ducks,
Feed the fish.
drink some wine.
Drink some wine. Pizza. Pizza. Great
And
pizza.
according to Charlie, the greatest pizza on earth.
If you know, you know. So it's not on Earth, but you know, it's good. Best in Starlight.
In Southern Indiana.
Best in Starlight.
Which is basically Earth. It's
Best in Starlight. So.
All right. Well, cheers. I think we're in agreement. It is worthy.
And we will see how much more worthy it becomes in 2 weeks. That's 14 days.
I'm very interested to see how it changes over the next couple of weeks.
Last thing I'll say on that is any bottle that I have ever been told, hey, try that again in 2 weeks, it really opens up, it is always a totally different animal, and I'm so excited for 2 weeks. I won't sleep until we drink this again. I'm still going to sleep. But...
Okay. Well, Charlie, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Okay, so through the magic of editing, here we are.
We're
2
back.
weeks later, maybe 3 weeks later.
It's been a solid month.
Yes. So we are revisiting the Starlight Blood Moon, which just so happens we just had a blood moon.
Just yesterday.
Yes, and we will not have another blood moon until 2026. Did you know that?
Super lame.
Yeah, so we're going to have our own blood moon tonight. So we are revisiting this, and we'll let you know what we think.
That's our jobs. That's why we're here.
That's our
That's why
jobs,
you're
yeah.
here. So,
All one of you
all right. Hey, leave the fan alone. I see you.
watching you. Well,
A much more complex nose than I remember the last
think?
time. I do. I mean, the corn is still there. The corn is very front and forward.
corn's still there, a little less ethanol.
A lot less ethanol.
Obviously, on the very first sniff, you got the ethanol, but it's
I'm getting
faded off pretty
some
quickly.
Real sweet. It's like a candy smell to it on that. So, all right. Well, let's see what a month does.
Yeah. Cheers.
Oh, cheers.
You know, it's not as sweet to me this time.
Yeah. It's got a lot more spice to it.
It's spicy, yeah. It's got a lot of spice on it,
Really,
on the front and the back end.
wow. Like really kind of almost, it's not a rye spice. It's not like a spicy rye, but wow, there's a lot going on there. The sweetness of the corn is there.
Yeah.
There's some of that spice that gets you in the front, and it kind of lingers and goes. But I'm still kind of tasting it. It's a long, lingering finish on that of, as you like to say, tobacco. And I get the licorice. I get a kind of a black licorice on the end of it. Yeah, very different from what I remember.
You know, I don't know that I would have called out the black licorice, but now you say it, I can see that,
Yeah,
or I can taste that, I should say.
really mellows out on that second drink.
It does, but I tell you, it really is. To me, the sweetness now, instead of like really corn forward
Yep.
and candy corn, is
Yep.
almost more going towards the caramel side.
Yeah,
But mixing with that spiciness, it's good. It's interesting.
it is. It's a lot more complex than it was when we first opened
Yeah.
that bottle. And I don't know if you can see, but there's not a ton that has been poured out of there. So it's had some access to some oxygen and a little evaporation, but overall, really solid pour. Very
Yeah.
different from any other of the Starlight's many different blends and mash bills. This one's a really good one. Very interesting.
I agree. So, you know what it's time for?
Catchphrase.
Drink it or sink it. Are we going to drink it or are we going to sink it, Charlie?
It's a drinker for me, 100%.
It's a drinker for me. It's not one that I'm going to pull out it's not going to be a daily drinker. But I'm going to pull it out on occasion when I want something a little bit different.
I will tell you what this bottle will be for me, which most Starlights are, is It'll sit for a while, and then I will revisit it and think, man, that's really good. And then it'll sit for a while, and then I'll revisit it, and hopefully that flavor kind of keeps adapting and figuring out what that is. So, but absolutely, that's a drink it for sure.
That's the benefit of having like 35 open bottles on your bar is you can drink something different every night, right?
Every night, for a while at least. So,
I mean, not every night. That would
be excessive.
not be good. All right, thanks for watching. Starlight, Blood Moon, Bloody Butcher Corn. If you can find a bottle, grab it.
Tell
pick
them
it up.
to do the thing, to like, subscribe, and whatnot.
Yes, like, and
And subscribe.
Subscribe.
He's had one.
Hit the subscribe button because you don't want to miss anything that we do.
It's all great.
I mean,
Yeah.
it is captivating. It is
Much
Oscar worthy.
Must watch YouTube television at 2 a.m. when you can't sleep. But no, absolutely. Like Glenn said, try to track down a bottle. Good luck. Very limited release. But if nothing else, go to Starlight and pick up something.
Cheers.
Cheers.